Separate and apart and outside of the show, I personally think you're a cool person.
I think you're cool too.
However, slash comma dash dash.
It's just a vibe. My content legendary. This is quite Perry with all the vibe. You know I'm doing it right. Watch any vid that you like for all the vibe. Yeah, vibes. Click that bell anytime and you will get notified with all the vibe. Yeah, vibes. So go comment and like and don't forget to subscribe for Strictly Vibes.
1, 2, 3. How did you know?
Chad taught me yesterday.
Alright, so hello Tan Travels.
What's up?
Alright, so first of all guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed that new intro. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm pretty sure you just saw it a while ago when the video opened. But yeah, before we get into this week's video, check out the links in my description box. There are new vlogs on my channel, and of course check out this week's upcoming YouTuber. The link is in the description box. Now, we're here with Tan Travels. Now, let's be a little bit honest, right? You were a little bit apprehensive in doing this whole sit down, right?
Yeah.
Just based off of what transpired essentially on the social house. Be honest with your feelings, actually.
Well, two things. It was two things for me, really. I genuinely feel like because I'm newer in the industry, you and Rebel and Chad, everybody on the cast has a bigger following than me.
Right.
And sometimes it feels very like a blind following, right?
Right.
So even though I feel like you and I and Rebel and the cast can look at things from everyone's perspective and pretty much get over it.
Right.
People kind of hold on
Right.
to like everything and kind of hold on to the grudge for you guys.
Right.
And so I feel like I was intimidated by that sometimes. But I also think it's just because you guys have been in the space longer. It's not as I don't think I have my also blind followers as well, you know? So I was just a little bit apprehensive. But honestly, Rebel Nation and whatever year you are all coming for me. I'm a little bit afraid. Rebel Nation, they're really showing into that.
And I was saying to Tanya that I feel as though I want to give you an opportunity because I feel like you coming into this space and you're not necessarily like knowing all the ropes because there's no instruction manual.
Yeah.
I think it's important for us to like have a conversation to kind of sort of humanize you. You
Not
know?
just the uptown annoying girl with the flat back teeth.
There you go. To kind of sort of humanize you. Because I personally believe that everybody deserves that opportunity. And separate and apart and outside of the show, I personally think you're a cool person.
I think you're cool too.
However, slash comma dash dash. In the same breath, I do believe that, you know, some of the stuff that has happened to you online, a portion of it was kind of probably like a eye-opener for you. But in the same breath, I do believe that some of the vitriol that you receive is unwarranted and unnecessary.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm a very self-aware person.
And I picked up on that and I told people, I was like, she knows what's going on.
Yeah, I'm a very self-aware person, and what I will say is I know why I'm perceived a certain way.
Right.
I'd say 50% of it is definitely my own doing. But I also think part of that was how new I was in the industry and the fact that I didn't know that I can't say certain things and I can't address, like I was just genuinely just being my personality. I didn't know this was going to turn into my career, and so I started off very strong, right?
So before we delve into that, right, because we're going to talk about that and I want to actually go very deep into that and just from like a human side of it. Of course, the show aired. Everybody has their perspectives and we know what happened on that day.
Yeah.
And I do believe some of it could have been edited out. Some of it, like, we're gonna both feel like portion should have been in or portion should have been out, or Rebels are also gonna feel that, or just overall in general.
Yeah.
But I just want to say from my POV, I didn't know that what you and Rebel had was, because before I get into that, how the show was edited, I looked like a bully.
I agree.
How the show was edited, Rebel also looked like a bully.
I don't think Rebel looked like a bully. I didn't get that from to me.
It feels like both of us were tag teaming you. That's how it looked to me.
can I be very honest? That's how it felt.
Okay.
But knowing the entirety of the situation, having been there, and having spoken to Rebel afterwards, spoken to you afterwards, I don't think you had enough information.
Right.
And I think you were literally just being Perry with the information you had.
Right.
So it wasn't your fault.
Right.
It wasn't Rebel's fault, and I don't think it was my fault. But I do think, one, very strong personalities and not all the information, because Rebel also didn't have all the information.
Right.
Because Rebel got from what you assumed you got from our interaction in the room.
Right.
And so it's gonna absolutely look like you guys just ran with the list of information that you had, and it came across tag team-ish. And I will say in the moment it also did feel like that.
Right.
But looking back at it and having all the information, it's very clear that you didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, I had no clue.
Yeah.
So when you were like, oh, you're inviting Rebel, I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so confused.
That, on top of that, like, I spoke to Tara before we even got near to the room about the whole situation.
Oh.
Tara told me she was going to speak to both you and Rebel prior to us going into the room. And the only reason that you actually overheard me talking to Tara was I was reminding Tara that I asked for no one to be in the room. And Tara knew why. Yeah, so you didn't have, it was very clear. After looking back at it, even after speaking to Rebel that day, I was aware that, like, it was just so much chaos and such strong personalities in one space.
Right.
And everybody didn't have information, if I'm being very honest. And my nerves, when I'm nervous, I can project.
So, I was in the room and I was saying, okay, Rebel didn't come in, so clearly a conversation. It's like, watching it back, I'm just like, damn, okay, Rebel never come in, so a conversation was had, and I wasn't a part of that conversation. So there were just a lot of things that were going on that just never happened. Certain people never know a certain thing. So
yeah, and the way that it was edited as well.
Dramatic.
You, like, for example, it looks like everything ended and then I came outside and started it up again. When what really happened was, after you left the room, you and Rebel were outside talking and we could hear you. We couldn't film. So I was in the bathroom for probably like 10-15 minutes.
And I didn't even know you were crying, and I was like, oh my god, I look like a bully for real.
No, it wasn't. That's the thing. I don't want people to think you and Rebel caused how I was in that episode. That is not what happened. I have severe anxiety, and when I say severe, I mean my psychiatrist just put me on a higher dose of anxiety meds because the ones I was on aren't. So I am already an anxious person, and when I'm already feeling anxious and there's a lot going on, I can't handle all of that. So it was really just me trying to bring myself down, like get my brain to level out so I could go in and do the challenge. But all I was hearing was, and then the thing is, you and Rebel, when una cuss or una talk with passion and they get me, so all I'm hearing is Tanya, and I'm like,
and I'm loud, you're loud, Rebel loud.
So I also feel like because they dropped us all in, we don't know each other like that. We're not deep enough for me to ever be like, that's just how Perry is, that's just how Rebel is. I don't know you guys like that, and you guys aren't gonna know me like that to be like.
That is also very good. That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
I think it definitely was just strong personalities. All of we just tired and piss off.
But yeah,
that never last past what? The day though?
Because like the day at the cup. And people, just so you know, because they're just like, oh, I knew this was gonna happen because
them see this role high in this episode, and Tanya said it.
Tanya was like, oh my god, Perry's twice her age, so I knew this was gonna happen.
I'm 25. Perry's only 7 years older than me.
He's not 6, right?
6, yeah, he's not. That was a joke. You guys cannot read it.
And also, for full information, that comment and that, when you said that was shot after.
Yes! All that episode was actually shot right after this episode, right? So you could tell that I had a little bit more sassy in that episode. But it just looks like I'm a sassy person because they don't understand the timeline. That whole what's it named? Halfway Through episode was filmed right after the beef episode. And that's why I'm kind of standoffish. I have on the sunglasses. I'm like, oh, let me get at the bottom next. It was just me being a little sassy because I thought it was going to air in order. The producer didn't mash up. I'm not like.
But it makes a good entertainment, and I hope you all were entertained.
For sure. Oh my gosh, I was there and watching it. I was like, wait, what's gonna happen? Like, I was watching it like this is a movie.
No man, them angle edits.
It really.
But yeah, that's that. Let's get into Tanya now.
Oh no.
Let's get into Tanya. No, I've seen you online, of course, and I think we met once, and that was at FOF, I believe. And you're like,
Zimmy.
Zimmy.
Zimmy, yeah.
Yes, Zimmy. And you're like, you know my sister.
Yeah, I had met you a few years ago actually at Chilitos.
Right.
Yeah, and I was like, you were cool. I've been obsessed with you since Patricia just became my
Screaming.
fave. So yeah, so for me meeting him, like being on the show with people like you and Chad
Right.
was just incredible to me. Like I almost don't even view myself as a creator the way that you guys are creators.
Right. And we're gonna get into that because I do believe that kind of sort of fuels some of your decisions.
Oh no.
Right. In relation to operating in the public space.
Okay, well let's
But yeah, I met you like once.
yeah.
To my knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
It's Zimmy for sure.
Before going on the show, and then like coming onto the show, knowing what I knew in relation to what you presented online, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give her an opportunity. You know, because I don't believe in meeting people and just like completely like writing them off, because there has to be a rhyme or a reason for how they are, how they choose to.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I also think it's important to separate a social media persona from the person.
Right.
Because while I do try to maintain an authentic presence online, a lot of what I choose to talk about or used to choose to talk about, because I do want to make it very clear that there's a very strong difference between the content I put out now and the content I originally started putting out.
Right.
But back in the day, or not even here, I've been doing this for a year, guys. I've been doing this for a year. Cut me some slack.
Right.
But when I just started, I was definitely more in my stubborn, I don't care what anyone has to say, this is my opinion, take it or leave it phase of my life. Since entering the space more, collaborating, just learning from people like Chad. Like Chad has been a great influence on just helping me navigate the space.
Right.
I've had a change of perspective on what I want my content to be,
Right.
what I want other people to gain from my content, and two, just how I want to be perceived as a person.
Right.
So it's kind of like you can tell the truth, but it doesn't have to be mean, or you can speak and it doesn't have to be disrespectful.
Ooh.
And I had a problem navigating the two or separating the two.
Right.
I just felt like I have a strong personality, take it or leave it, you know? And I still kind of do have that perspective. Not everyone's gonna swallow what I have to say, but I also do believe that I can and have chosen to put more effort into how I deliver things, because the delivery has so much more of an effect than I want to realize.
Right.
If that makes sense.
100%.
Yeah, so
so traveling, we love traveling.
Yeah.
We started out with travel content.
yeah, we did.
And that's when I first got introduced to you, and I'm not gonna lie, you were in a lot of our TikTok groups back then, because even when we're planning trips and you're like breaking down stuff, we're like, okay, we could do this, we could do that.
Wow.
No girl, you did the ticket.
And trying to get back on that, I'm like,
And we were like sending you like in our groups and then look at something. And I was
Wow.
like, girl, but I have to do that, look how Tanya wrote this down, blah blah blah. And then I was like, okay, much like other people, I was like, where is the travel content? What's going on?
it fell off, yeah.
Right. So talk to us about that shift. Like what
Caused it, or?
Yeah, like how did we move from travel to
Okay.
beef?
Beef.
Air quotes.
Beef.
Air quotes.
So the travel series actually started after I had already put my personality on the internet. So I had actually made a few TikToks prior to this didn't blow up. The traveling is what made me blow up. And I still love traveling and love the travel content. But one, I blew up on TikTok right after I moved back from Singapore last year. So I moved back from Singapore around April, and I blew up on TikTok probably end of April, beginning of May. So one, being a travel influencer is way more expensive and way more meticulous than just being an influencer or being a content creator.
Right.
I travel maybe once or twice a year, so I knew that my next trip was, or the next time they were going to be able to see me travel wasn't going to be until this early May this year. I'm going to Peru, and whatever. So I didn't want my entire brand to be linked to travel when I knew that I wasn't necessarily going to be able to show them what they wanted to see. I never want nobody to get to me and say, wait, she said claim she a travel girl, I'm gonna see her fly out, or whatever, you know, I never want them to come for me in that way. That was the first thing. The second thing is, people kind of started getting a little bit too demanding when it came to them, to the breakdowns, like, ask for this one, why you do this? Or kind of, and they're in my DMs like demanding me to do this trip in this amount of money. And the thing about budget traveling is it's such a give and take area, and a lot of Jamaicans are so, they want to take one way. Like I remember once a girl came to me and she's like, I want you to do a breakdown, I want to sit down right for $600 and I don't want to take a Uber, I want to fly right here and all. And I was like, I cannot do that. Like,
Right.
so it just became very like, and I feel bad. See, I'm a people pleaser. I feel bad saying like I can't do something.
Right.
So that started weighing on my heart, and I was like, okay, like how else can I keep building myself without being stuck in this?
Right.
As well as I wanted to. There are 3 reasons. Those are the top 2. And the 3rd reason was I wanted to branch out into different avenues, and I didn't want to be stuck in. I just didn't want to be stuck in travel. So though I'm at the stage now where I'm gonna separate them. So I want to Ton itself to be a brand. I want it to be Ton Travels, Ton Taste, and Ton Talks. So I have a podcast, and I'll separate them. And so when you guys, there'll be different TikTok accounts. You can go to each one based on what you're looking for. And I'm not stuck in travel, but I can do different things at the same time.
Right.
If that makes sense. So that was where my perspective was coming from. I know people are missing the travel breakdowns and travel content. And I will be flying to both Colombia, Peru, and Mexico this May. And you guys will get breakdowns of how much I spent, where I stayed, I'm doing so the content is coming for you guys, I promise. Ton Travels is really back, I swear.
Okay, so I love you know, branching out, being multifaceted, and you know, just showing different facets of yourself and like different facets of what you can do.
Yeah.
You mentioned something earlier about the expectation, right?
Yeah.
So let's go into operating in the social space.
Yeah.
Because when I started, I can sympathize with the feelings that you felt in relation to the level of expectation and just people feeling like, oh my god, you have to post now, where's the content, where the girl, like you don't have anything else to do.
Yeah, like you
don't have responsibilities
and like and life issues.
Like, so talk to us about just like the mental back and forth you had to go through in relation to like saying, okay, fine, I need time for me, but I now have an audience who require me to put out content.
Honestly, I'm still going through it. It's still it's still something I have to actively like.
It took me years.
Yeah, it weighs on my heart a lot because I don't like being a disappointment. I really
Girl,
hate
I know those emotions you're feeling.
And when you build your community a certain way, it feels like they're your friends. Like you have the same people commenting on every video, the same people looking out, the same people missing you. And that's another reason I kind of branched out to the Ton Travels, the travel content, only because by changing my brand to just me, it became more low maintenance.
Right.
I could make content without there having to be a plan, a pre-film, a pre-edit, and that way I could be consistent with them. I could still interact with the community that I love so much. Like I don't know what I would do with my TikTok community, but I don't feel mentally drained at the end of the week because I was busting my ass to make sure that this video edit, this video, you know what I mean? So for me, it's still a day-to-day battle. I think my community understands. And it's such a free space for me that if I am going through something, I can tell them about it and they understand, and they're like, okay, she hasn't posted in a while, the man never called her back, you know, Tanya, she need that 5 minutes. You know, that's how open I am with them. You know, it's kind of like I'm talking to my friends, so they're very understanding. You know, you will have the 1 or 2 people that aren't used to you and coming and they're like, where's the, you know, but you get used to it, and I've kind of just learned to stop internalizing it, like the negativity or you know. That's
actually a good space to be in, because it took me a while to, you know, get to that place of just like, okay, Rowan, you need to lie down. You're also not feeling well, or you just don't feel like doing it today.
Sometimes you genuinely just are not in the mood. You just don't have the motivation to get up and feel nothing.
So I do believe that's like a natural like feeling that. And it's almost like a rite of passage coming into this coming into this industry. Like you have to be able to know when it's time for self and when it's time for audience.
No, especially when it comes to the creating itself, I found actually. So things like I have to tell myself, and I don't know if other people do this, but if I'm going on like a beach trip or if I'm going out to a country or if I'm doing something fun, I have to decide before I go if this is a content trip or if this is a fun trip. Because if I try to make a fun trip a content trip, it goes downhill immediately. If you try to, if you're out with your friends and you take out your phone and you're just thinking, can you video me? It just becomes work, and that's just not fun for me. So if it's content, it's content. If it's fun, it's fun.
And your friends have to also be down for that and in the mode.
Oh my God.
Because if they're not, then it's just not gonna work out. So I met them know from now, say, we are gonna beach because we want to film.
We're filming, exactly. Yes. And so they're already in the mindset. It's not that you're like pissing people off. Everybody's in the same, you know? I agree.
And you also have to be around people who fuel that and understand that, because
absolutely,
it don't make any sense you're around people who are not you know, and it's okay to have friends who don't
Understand
who are
it, yeah,
not
but
who are not
separating
down
the
for
two
that,
or
but
being
separate,
aware.
yeah.
Yeah, because when I just entered the space, I used to have not huge arguments with like friends, but little things that people wouldn't understand about being in the space. So I remember once I had an argument with a friend, not an argument, but she brought it up that I lied to her about having a meeting. I told her I had a meeting. She asked me to follow her somewhere, and I said I have a meeting. I can't come. The meeting was at Top Bar. It was actually with Jay Frey, and that meeting was about the YouTube video that actually got me to 10K on Instagram. Right, the video that we filmed, the podcast that we filmed. And I told her I was at that thing, and she saw me on TikTok. She saw me on thing at Top Bar, and she pretty much cussed me off. She's like, "Why are you lying?" Blah, blah, blah. She's a lawyer, and I was like, girl, just because my meetings don't entail me being in a suit in an office doesn't mean it wasn't a meeting.
With
That
a
was not a, you know what I mean? It was not a lie. Like, and so just having people that can understand that me at TGI sometimes is me working, or me literally with my iPad or me editing is me working, and it's equally as important to me as taking the bar or finishing your med exams, or you know, doing that is for you. You're building your career is for you. So just having people that can understand that, I feel like is really important. I do have friends that don't understand it, and I just have to approach them differently. But I think it's all in being aware. You know.
Okay, so coming into this like social space, you know, as you know, I've been doing this for about 8 years.
Before I was born, guys, come on.
Screaming. So there is a level of mental fortitude that you have to build up.
So how long did it take? I want to ask, like, how long do you think it took you to be just comfortable with Quiet Perry on the internet?
I think before I came on the internet, I was already on that journey.
Okay.
So I think I was probably halfway on that journey before I became popular Quiet Perry. So I already struggled with, you know, who I was and how persons perceived me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, and that just came from bullying, from high school. You know, people are laughing at you, teasing you, making fun of you, saying, you know, why do you talk that way? Why do you act that way?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was like, wait, for all the things that people used to tease me about and jeer me about and chastise me about, those are all the qualities that make me me, and those are all the qualities that people like about me. So why is it that I'm now questioning myself to say, okay, you're not worthy enough, you know? So I was already halfway on that journey before I became Quiet Perry. Granted, becoming Quiet Perry, everything was now heightened.
That should be the title of your memoir, Becoming Quiet Perry.
Becoming Quiet Perry. Because now, in a space, in the social space, you're now having to deal with persons you don't know. Come in high school, you can't see them face.
Yeah.
And when they see them, you can walk away.
Yeah.
You understand? But
you
you don't know who these people are, and these people are now getting to know you. Granted, there's a large portion of them that love you, but you now have a subset of people who are just like, ew, this not funny, but you're up on the internet, come off. You understand why you talk like that?
Their full-time job to be mean.
Right.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to get there, but it's a necessary journey that I believe everybody needs to go on and like in order to operate on the social space. So I want to ask you, right, how has that been going thus far in relation to just like receiving negativity?
So it's weird for me because I was never really bullied prior to social media.
Right.
So like I always knew my voice didn't sound like regular girls. I always knew I didn't have a big bottom, but I was always comfortable with it.
Right.
Like the insecurities I had never had anything to do with the insecurities social media comes after me for.
Right.
And so for me, it was shocking that like people cared so much that I had no bottom, and that do I really sound like a man, or hearing it at such a large, like from so many people that I don't know, when it had never occurred to me before. I was like, wait, is this true? Like, and so I almost started to internalize it to the point where now I've had to like pull myself back because I make jokes about it, like it's okay when it really isn't. I'd also say that like, because I'm such an anxious person, I do have a few insecurities that I've had to work through.
Right.
Being in the space that I'm in now and having the reach that I have. But what I would say I appreciate is I've had to just toughen up fast.
Right.
I haven't really had the time, especially with how fast I've grown. I haven't had the time to just
like, you know,
sit down and ball. Like,
yeah.
I just have to get over it, you know what I mean? And so I kind of am grateful for the fact that like I kind of was just thrown in and I have to just deal with people's opinions of me. It's just made me a stronger person. It's made me realize that you will never be able to convince everybody that you are who you think you are.
Right.
Never. So it's not worth the mental drain, it's not worth the insecurities, it's not worth the exhaust of responding to every comment or fighting them out or being like, no, that's wrong, I believe, you know, it's just not worth it to me. I just genuinely feel like once you accept that you are who you are, you know what people love about you, and you're doing your best to create content that people enjoy and add value to add value to their lives. Why are you concerned about the negativity? The negative people will never come up to me in public. That's what I've realized.
Yeah.
They'll never come up to me in public.
And I feel like it's crazy that, you know, one, it's like to put yourself in a space of just thinking like someone who operates like that, you will never get an answer. Because you know who you are, you know how you operate. Because if I don't like somebody, I'm not going to talk about them. I'm not going to be on their page.
I'm not gonna go out to my way to comment.
I'm not gonna go out to my way to comment or like stitch a video or make a whole think piece about them. But it's also crazy that being in this space, you know, people tell you so much about yourself that they make you insecure about things that you were never insecure about.
And they speak with such conviction on you that you could almost believe them. It's shocking. Like sometimes I'll read a comment about myself and I'm like, did I actually? And I did. Like, it's the most out-of-pocket thing too. It definitely, you have to have a strong spirit.
Right. You have to know yourself, and you have to be secure in yourself, and you have to know what you are to people and what you are to your audience.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm still getting there. I'm not gonna lie, there are days when I'm like, whoa, that was a lot. Like, why is everybody coming for me?
Right.
And I think there are certain things you have to put in steps as well. Things like just not reading the comments. Like I'm like back in the day, I used to read the comments and just respond to every single one. Yeah. Because even when you know that them chatting foolishness, you see one comment that just kind of lick you the wrong way, and you're like, no, I need to respond to this, and then that just spirals it and it snowballs. Yeah. So literally just being at peace with the content. Like I'm the kind of person now. Once I create a video and I post it, I've already shown it to a few friends. They have approved it. I know if it's really that bad, Chad will come into my phone and say, "Can I take this down?" And so I will post it and leave it. When I go through the comments, unless somebody tells me to go see some comments or I read it, just open my phone and it's the first thing there, I'm not scrolling because that will mad you. Yeah. It will.
That took me a while to get to as well, because if you don't see it, it can't bother you. If you don't see it, can't bother you. So like, even on the Social House episodes, as much as there are people who are for you, there are also going to be people who are against you. Yeah. I know there are people for me, there are people who are going to be also against me, and I don't want to put myself through that. Yeah. You know, so it's like, and I also don't want to bring up the emotion or the urge of having to respond or telling my side of the story. Yeah. You know, you have to be okay with saying, you know what, I know my truth, and I'm okay with everybody also not knowing my truth.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest thing for me, trying to understand that not everything deserves an answer. Right. And that once I get to that, I will be at full peace. Definitely a work in progress, guys, but just not everything deserves an answer. It's just not worth the energy.
And I remember us having a conversation at a particular destination.
At a particular destination.
Right. Without divulging too much or disclosing anything. You said that you have come a long way in relation to reacting to certain stuff online.
Yeah. Well, I'm not lie to you, my block button trigger finger is very, very heavy. Like, you breathe too hard and I will block you. And people have started coming, like, time travels is so sensitive. Absolutely. No. I will protect my peace at all costs. And in doing that, I've also realized that sometimes people just comment things for commenting them sake, and it just don't make sense to react.
And sometimes they just want your attention. Yeah.
So you almost bring more attention to it when you react. It's kind of like them I scroll through them phone, them sit on travels, them not like her, them not like me, them say, yo, big mouth girl, and then keep scrolling. Yeah. When I now respond to that comment, everybody I go look on it, them I go come back and them I go, you know, and it becomes
it kind of adds weight
to what they said, as if I believe it or it bothered me, it gives it more, you know. And so I just feel like I've almost become more comfortable with my presence on social media. One, because I've actively tried to transition from loud, opinionated Tanya to focusing more on my followers, because I want to add value to their lives.
Right.
So that's why I started on Taste. I want when I come up on your For You page, you're either laughing or you're gaining something from my content. And because I know that I'm adding value to people's lives with my content now, when someone comments something negative, I kind of just know it's out of pocket and I just don't react. You know, I kind of just...
That's a very good place to be in, and I actually commended you on that. And I was just like, I went, like, after the whole thing, like, I went through your page and I was just like, she's actually good at this. Like, when I saw Tantes, I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna see you actually dress up.
No Crocs.
No Crocs. You put yourself together, you take your photos for your Instagram, you do your things for TikTok, and I was like, she knows. I'm screaming. She knows what she's doing, and you being around you on set, you are the type of person who is just like, you're so focused on like work, like nobody enough for licking on your back for work, and that's something that you have to be generally equipped with to be in this space, because a part of the job is being consistent. You know, and I was just like, guys, Tanya is a person on set who is just like, guys, we need to film this TikTok, guys. She is gonna get her content. Regardless, like she is on it, like, and I admire that about you 100% because that's who I am. You know, so I can easily pick it up in people, and I love that you chose to diversify your content and actually go after it. And it's like more than one episode of Tantes. It's like, oh, I do it last week and then I come back this week and then see nothing again. So I can admire your work ethic.
Oh, well, I mean, honestly, you have been one of my aspirations in the industry. Like, when I say the fact that I'm even on the show with people like you and Rebel, and it's incredible to me, because I look at how you've grown from 8 years ago to where you are now, and I'm just like, okay, what do I need to do? And so my work ethic is based on, I want to be at Quite Perry's level one day. How do I do that? Because Quite Perry, you're on your content, you're so consistent, and your brand is both fun and serious. So I really did admire you for that. In terms of my work ethic, I think it comes from the fact that I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
There it goes. I wanted you to say it.
I don't know what would happen if I was still an accountant, guys. It would have been detrimental.
Yeah, man.
I love this so much. I don't even know how to express how much I love creating content to the point where it doesn't feel like work. So being at the social house, don't get me wrong, we did one back my weekends.
I would have to agree.
We did really, sometimes it was like, alright, like I'd like to go home, but just being there, being on a set, it was, I don't even know, I was like a child in a chocolate factory. Like, it was incredible to me, working with people like you, just collabing. It's fun, and when it's fun, you're consistent with it. Now, if you ask me for editor budget, no.
Not upon that right now. Okay, so we spoke about, you know, the transition of the content. We spoke about maneuvering the space and negativity. We also spoke about, you actually touched a little bit on just like the insecurities in relation to like your voice, and persons talking about you have a flat body, and being around you on set, you know, I would hear you vocalize it like so much. I'm just like, wait, but you're not around like your audience. This is just regular people. And I kind of sort of picked that up as a little bit of self-deprecation, because I'm just like, maybe she's in a space where she has to make it known before somebody says it.
And that is where my head, that literally is it.
I
talk about this in therapy a lot. Again, just coming up as fast as I have, I have internalized so much that I am now working, like, reverse engineering back. Because I had never heard about my voice from anybody before, to the point where I remember when the voice thing became a real thing. I think I was on like Quest Times or something. I called my daddy and I was like, Daddy, has anyone ever made fun of my voice to you? Because my older sister also has like a pretty deep voice. And I was like, has anyone ever made fun of me and Tanisha's voices to you? And he's like, no, what are you talking about? I asked my mom the same thing. And it was just so shocking to me. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just oblivious. Maybe I really do sound like a man. And so because I just couldn't take hearing it anymore, I was like, let me just say it first. So them not say nothing.
Right.
I am now realizing that there is absolutely nothing wrong with my voice.
Right.
My bottom is not big, but I have noticed in my bottom. Okay, like I have noticed it. I'm gonna start gym and see if I can, just because I want to see if I can build a body.
Right.
But if I don't have a body for the rest of my life, nothing. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be just as happy.
And it's also important to kind of sort of just take the remote control away from people.
Yeah.
So I love that you make, you know, funny TikToks about it, but you also don't want to wire your brain in a sense where it's
believing that that's something that's wrong with me.
It's literally like the only thing, because
Yeah.
you cannot help how you can't change your voice.
I agree. Oh my gosh, I know. I know.
You understand? And that is also something that I had to,
Yeah.
you know, like you cannot change things about it. This is how God made you.
Yeah.
And the fact that people take joy, because
Tearing
Twitter
you
is
down.
such an evilous place.
Oh my god.
When I saw those tweets, I was just like,
Somebody say I sound like a donkey braid.
what you want the girl to do about her voice?
Yeah, like.
No, like, let's get serious.
What would you guys really like?
What would you really like her to do about the voice with God give
Even
her?
if it's not the voice, some of them just hate the like standard English or the uptown twang, and I'm like, bro, my mom used to literally cuss me off when I tried to talk Patois. The way that I talk is literally forced. Like I was just raised around people that speak with this tone, and all uptown people have it. I understand it, because even some of the deep Rebecca's me can't take them either. But what am I to do about it? Because if I really try to talk Patois, not gonna done me. If imagine me getting up one day and I try to speak full Patois for the entire.
They're gonna say.
I'm gonna do that 1 week on TikTok. I'm just gonna talk bare Patois. I like them ones.
Because it's like, and it's also puts you in a position, because it's like, if you do it, they're gonna have a problem. And if you still speak standard English, they're gonna have a problem.
So
you just have to be just like,
let people live.
at the end of the day, I can't please people. People are gonna say what they want to say, and that's just that. Because realistically speaking,
Yeah.
people on Twitter, what you want her to do about her voice?
do you
What you actually want her to do? Take out her voice box and go exchange it on a store?
Also, I'm not even just the voice thing. I'm not as loud in person, guys. Can we talk about the fact that my social media presence is what's going on in my brain at the time? But I'm not like, it's not like I step into a room and I'm like, ah! That's not. Like Perry would tell you, on set I'm probably the quiet one. Like I'm not that loud.
No,
so,
she's actually pretty chill on, like,
yeah, I'm pretty reserved.
Pretty
like
chill,
to
right?
my, so.
The only problem is she talks a lot.
Enough. You can't get me started on this with me for just babble.
Yeah, like
that is one thing
once
you guys
the
get
conversation,
right.
what ma?
Yeah.
Sonia gone with it. But
absolutely.
what you gonna do about that? You just have to know and understand that that's Tanya.
And if you're not in on the talking, be like, Tanya, I'm not in on the talking.
Oh
my god, I'm not gonna take it no way. I know I talk about
everybody has their own little personal traits about them, but it's just managing, you know, your interaction with people, which is 100% fine.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Okay,
so that's done. Let's talk about therapy.
What about therapy?
Let's talk about therapy and the fact that why did you choose or make the decision to do therapy? Because a lot of people shun it, judge it, them say therapy as something for mad people.
Yeah.
Instead of just you trying to just like maneuver how you're feeling and just kind of sort of massaging your mental health.
When did I start? Well, let me tell you, my older sister had a very, let's call it, eventful teenage period of life, and so she started going to a therapist when she was late teens. And that therapist kind of just became my family therapist. So when I got into the same age group, my parents were kind of afraid I was gonna end up the same way or think the same things were gonna happen, until they sent me to her almost like as a preemptive strike.
Right.
So I was already familiar with the therapy space. It wasn't weird to me. My dad's a doctor, you know, anything like that was just normal to me. I had a pretty bad, let's call it an episode. I was, Jenna, I don't know if I want to put this information in there. I dealt with a pretty big life issue in 2020.
Right.
That caused me to start having some mental health issues. And to try and control that and combat that, I started going to a different therapist more seriously, more regularly.
Right.
And it just helped me so much that I wanted to almost talk about it more, to destigmatize the idea that therapy is for mad people.
Mad people, right.
Because once I started going consistently and understanding my own brain and why I react to certain things a certain way, and what childhood trauma, how that impacts how I am today, and I was able to figure out that not everything is my fault.
Right.
You know, some things are really my parents fucked me up, or
hereditary, generational trauma,
like chemical imbalances, things like that you just, a lot of people just don't have the information on, and information is power.
Right.
So why wouldn't you want to know more about yourself? Why wouldn't you want to know why you react to certain things in certain ways?
Right.
And since then, I love it, and my therapist is the best. I love, like, I'll bust jokes with her, I'll talk about my man with her. I, like, it's hilarious, it's fun. Like, if I could afford to, like, sponsor people's therapy, I would.
And I also think it's because I've thought about it, and I've listened to podcasts in relation to, you know, persons going to therapy, and I've also actually looked for online therapy.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if online therapy would work for me. But I also was like, okay, we're in Jamaica, because when you speak about therapy in Jamaica, it's not like you can just get up and be like, oh yeah,
no, you have to
so one therapy office there, go in there. So it's not like out there like dentist office and doctor office. You have to know somebody who is a therapist.
Yeah.
So I do believe like more resources need to be available in relation to getting access to therapy in Jamaica, because it's also not like that affordable.
It's not affordable at all.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't take health insurance. A lot of health insurance companies don't cover it.
Right.
And you're right, it's just not accessible. And so me figuring out my own mental health and using my platform to speak about mental health is really me doing what I can. I'm actually in the process of getting certified as a mental health coach. So, me of all people, yes I know, but
you heard it here first.
Yeah, so I'm actually getting certified for that. I'm working along with I will be talking about it on TikTok, but I'm working with I don't remember what the program is called. I have to go look it up. But I'm working with someone that is setting up this program to help just the talk, open up the talk on mental health issues and therapy and that kind of thing. I'm not sure what I can really do in terms of the financial aspect of it, but when people like DM me and ask me for recommendations, I do give them recommendations, not to my therapist. I don't really want nobody a big brand my business, but like if I do know other therapists, and I'll recommend them. And I'm so much more comfortable with who I am as a person since being in therapy, and not even just that, but I'm more equipped to handle things, because I know when an episode is coming on, like when I'm feeling anxious, when this is a reaction caused by something else and not, you know what I mean? And so I can step back and deal with it more appropriately. And I think that's the aim of therapy. It's just a tool to help us deal with interact with people better and live a happier life. Like,
and I also think it's like just super important, and I'm actually happy that you're actually like actively like in therapy, because a lot of people think about it but they don't actually make the step.
Yeah, or consistency is also very important when it comes to things like therapy.
Because a lot of people are self-aware enough to know and understand certain things in relation to why they react a certain way, or they have a community of friends who are just like, girl, you do that now because remember say your mother did XYZ, and you know they're able to like break it down themselves sometimes. But a lot of persons aren't equipped, and that's also okay to just seek help and just like, you know, talk to somebody. Yeah,
talking to someone. And the cool thing about therapists, well, my favorite thing about therapists, they can't tell anyone anything.
Right.
Meaning, they can't tell your mother if you're still living in your parents' house. They cannot tell your parents. They cannot even tell the police. The only time a therapist is allowed to disclose anything you see in their presence is if you are going to, future tense, hurt yourself or hurt someone else.
Right.
So even if you've already hurt someone and you tell your therapist and you're feeling guilty about it and you just want to disclose that to someone or you want to get something, they can't call the police.
Right.
They cannot report you. It is a completely safe space. And some people need that, because even though they do feel comfortable talking to their parents about certain things or talking to their friends about certain things, there are other things that they don't think they can, or they're not just strong enough to express to people that they know.
Right.
And so being able to talk to a complete stranger that doesn't really care enough to judge you, but is knowledgeable enough to explain to you what's going on or why you're dealing with this or why this is happening is really helpful.
Right.
So that's what it is for me, honestly. Like, just being able to be like, yo, I can't stand Pat, or I can't take Tony today, and then can't tell my parents, and I don't feel no way about it. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, what's gonna start from this? It's just you know?
Knowing who you are and knowing some of the decisions that you've made in relation to, you know, posting certain things online and persons gathering their perception of you.
Yeah.
What is like one thing that you're just like, I wish they knew this about me?
How down to earth I actually am. Can I be so honest with you? I'm so sick of the she's so uptown, she's so spoiled. Like, I cannot take it anymore. Especially because, like, I'm not lie, in comparison to the average Jamaican, yes, I'm spoiled. But I'm not a spoiled brat. I had to, like, meaning I've worked several jobs. Like, my first job out of high school, I actually took a gap year between college and high school. I worked at Southern London, so that the call center on South Camp Road.
Right.
I used to walk out, grab a route taxi, go downtown, buy myself KFC, come back at work, take the. My parents never had a car. My parents never. I used to have to take the bus that they had at 1 a.m. back to wait until they drop everybody off where they live, and then drop me off at my yard. My best friend had never been downtown a couple years ago. I made her, I was like, there's no way you have never been downtown, you're Jamaican. Made her get in a route taxi and come downtown with me. Took her to Bashko. I have a little, the car park on Princess Street. They know me by heart. That's where I park every time I go down there. There's a little Princess Street as well where I buy they sell the huge bag of gummy worms. Just things like that. Things like, I know bus park like they're at the back of my hand, like.
Same.
Things like, just because they hear the accent, they're like, nah, she's spoiled, she gets everything she wants. Like, that is not, my parents not afraid to tell me no.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the fact of the matter. Yes, I'm so privileged and I'm so grateful for everything that God's like provided for me. But I just want people to realize that them just hear the accent and run with it.
Yeah.
We can't take that, man.
I mean, they've casted that on me as well, but I guess because I'm also like, yeah, girl.
Yeah, you can like switch,
I
more.
have that, you know, but they're also like, oh, Perry rich, Perry this, Perry that, Perry rich.
And where them get them information from?
Perry rich. I live a very comfortable life and I work very hard.
Very hard.
Yes.
I mean, my dad pays for me, but
I'm screaming. But growing up for me, it's like, I live with my parents. They ensure that we got everything that we got, which is any parent's role and function.
Yeah,
they're gonna want the best. They're gonna want the best for their children. But my mom let me to the boss. She's like, you need to learn.
I used to beg to take
You need to go out there and you need to take that bus to school. Okay.
I think
so you know, it's not everything is handed out. Everything is, you know, but we can't stop person's perceptions of us, but I believe that majority of the persons who operate in the online space outside of that, they're like very chill.
Very. Like, I haven't met one creator that I'm like, no, none of them.
Like, just
not one. Like, I can't take, like, I know there are people that have met me and we just chat too much. And that's just a fact that there's some people just can't take my boss serious, but not like, but everyone is so open to other people's perspectives and chill and kind of laid back, and you really have to do something to piss people off in this industry, you know, because even when we catch up, it doesn't usually last. Like, me and I'll say things like me and Chad will catch up and be good in 0.2 seconds, because we just we know the space, we know the strong personalities, we know all people stay, but we're all generally just cool people, I think. Not me calling myself a cool person.
Love my yard, I love my couch, but that's like I was trying to show there. So chill.
I like the streets, but even people come up to me and they'll be like, hey, can I have a picture? And I'm like, of course. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so nice. And I was like, you thought I was mean? Like, I'm like, no, I'm so nice. Like, just don't take my, you know, in your faceness of social media and think that's me in person.
Because a lot of people see me on the road and they're just like, well, you know, today I'm just like, girl, I'm just trying to get some shit out of the supermarket. You're saying, yeah, girl! And I screamed at the store like, what do you expect from me? Tell me a joke. No? What do you mean?
When you buy your food, like I'm at Popeyes and they recognize me and they're like, how's this, how's that? Even up to yesterday, them come to me and they're like, I don't like how people like them give you this. Why not? And I'm like, it's not that serious. Like, just take a deep breath.
And also, we shot that shit like 3 weeks ago.
Them in my face like, Daniel, I'm not like that. You're confident. And I'm like, guys, even if it was like, I'm not a grudge person. Like, not that serious.
But yeah, that's a good thing that you'd like them to know that you're down to earth.
I am so down to earth. Like, come, we can have a party together, guys. I'm actually starting a series, hopefully, where I do like things that make me Jamaican. Since people keep saying I'm not Jamaican, I do the real Jamaican stuff. So I'm gonna learn how to make ackee. I'm gonna go all the things. I need to make a list up.
Right.
But all the things that make you Jamaican, I'm gonna try them. Because people say that I'm not. So we'll see.
Right.
Right, a poster.
So going into the show, and having like met you and interacted with you for the first couple of days, I gave you grace in my mind. But I also picked up on certain things. I was just like, alright, fine. One, should chat enough. Two, your intrusive thoughts. Sometimes I'm just like, wait a minute.
My intrusive thoughts.
In relation to like some things, I'm just like, okay, well, I wouldn't say that. It's just a personal thing.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing was self-deprecation, and I think you're a little bit reactive sometimes.
Well, I'm very reactive.
Right.
Very.
So that was my synopsis.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing happened, and then after that, I was like, but she's cool. She's a pretty chill, regular girl.
Yeah.
Cool, can go around with, can park, can hang. You know, so that was just my personal thing. I didn't want to like 100% prejudge you and hold it against you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is why majority of the times, like in conversations, I allowed everybody to speak, and I just sat there and I was just like, all right.
What I did the same thing. Like I sat down when I came on set. You Rebel Econ watched it, and I was like, I don't know how they're gonna be. Let me just step back and wait and see what happens.
Right.
I will say the first few weeks of filming, I was kind of reserved.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really, because I didn't know how to approach situation.
Right.
I was almost still fangirling. You get me? Because I don't
Brilliant.
consider myself. I don't know what it is. My brain just hasn't read it. Like I know we're on the same show. I know we're doing the same thing. But it's like this is quite Perry. When I found out who Rebel was, I was like, whoa. You know, Chada do him thing, Chada have him people, and I was like, all right. So I kind of stepped back. I was like, all right, let me and see what's going on. I definitely do talk a lot. I am reactive. Intrusive thoughts wise, I will say though, I think I felt the same way about everyone else.
Okay.
So there were things that Chad would say and I'd be like, that's kind of out of pocket. Or like you'd say something and I'd be like, that's kind of like, or like Rebel would say something and I'd be like, but then at the same time I would say something and people would be like,
right.
So I think it's all just, again, we didn't know each other's personalities well enough to be like, all right, that's not really out of pocket for Tanya. That's not really weird for Perry.
Mm-hmm.
But now we kind of understand each other better, and so
Right.
it doesn't come across as so like side eye.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of did that whole let's figure each other out.
But I said that to say, or I said that in relation to the public, so they would know and understand that give people a chance.
Yeah.
You know, there is a human there outside of what is showcased on the
Social
internet.
media, yeah.
And if you could choose to not type what you are about to say, I would advise you to just don't type it.
Just don't type it. Like
Just leave it alone. Like,
just if it doesn't need to be said, you know?
you know, like if it doesn't add any value to anything,
Anyone's
like
life.
it's not
like,
gonna.
It doesn't make your day better. It doesn't make our day. Like, what's the reason?
90% chance it's probably gonna make our day worse.
Yeah, like
if we see it.
Yeah, so
You
just
know?
don't even.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because the dehumanization of just like persons in the public space and the social space is very bad. Because the expectation is different. Everything is heightened for us.
And we are human, is what I
Right.
don't think people are understanding. It's so easy to see us on your phone screen or see us on your TV or see us on your YouTube thing and be like, okay, like their lives are so put together. They know they're fine.
Absolutely
Like we
not.
can take the. It is not the case. It is not the case. We have the same mental health issues. We cry the same way. We get hurt. We're going through the same man drama you're going through, the same girl drama you're going through. We're going through the same parent foolishness. We're dealing with brands. There's a lot going on in our lives.
Right.
And so just like you have bad days, we have bad days.
Yep.
So imagine having a bad day and then I walk up to you and say, yo, you're ugly now, your mouth big, you chat too much.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from? Out of pocket or unnecessary, man. And it's the same thing. You're not in front of our faces, but you're on our devices. We're seeing it. So
Right.
just lead with kindness is what I'd say. Like,
Yeah, leave it. And watch for your post. Like, just think about it, you know?
yeah. Yeah, because even like you'll see one thing, my tags, mentions, and stitches are off. So if you want me to see it, I forgot look for you. You cannot tag me, you cannot mention me, you can't even at me in someone else's comment sections. Because if I put it on like it's been like that for a while. I turned it back on last week for like maybe a day.
Right.
The foolishness that I was tagging, the foolishness of just I was like, you know what? I don't need to see it.
And it's okay to create that boundary for yourself.
Yeah, I don't need to see it. If I don't see it, it will show up on my For You page. God, if the Lord wants me to see it, I'll see it.
So having had your little, you know, preconceived like what this might be coming into the conversation now, how do you feel?
I feel pretty good.
Okay.
I really do appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak my truth and be myself for people to see. I'm really hoping that people actually listen to this and like can relate to what I'm saying and even just go to my socials and kind of get a vibe of who I am as a person. But at the same time, I'm getting to the stage where I'm comfortable enough in myself where if that doesn't happen, then that's okay.
That's an awesome place to be.
Yeah, I know my ton travelers, they ride for me
Girl,
hard.
Your people love you.
Hard, and that's all I could ask for, really.
So, I'm a gal.
Yeah, man, they're definitely there for me. They're on Twitter too, they're all over the place. So.
And I saw a TikTok. I saw a TikTok today, actually, of a guy who said that, you know, I think you posted something on TikTok and you and he was like, oh well, you know, I'm happy she did this, so like, you know, I'm a fan now and
I saw that. I just made a video pretty much clearing up the fact that the entire thing was a misunderstanding. Like you didn't have all the information. Rebel one bag just explaining everything. But what I did say in that was I was like, I assume the producers knew about the Rebel Marcy Chin drama. I found out posting that they didn't know about it, and so I didn't want to spread false information. So that's why I took the video down. I just didn't want it to be like, oh, the producer set anybody up. I didn't want that to be the case, so that's why I took it down. But yeah, I did see that video and I did appreciate that he like watched it and like so there are I definitely have seen that there are people that are open to me and haven't shut their minds to me, and I really do appreciate that.
So the same grace that he offered you, I really wish that people would just not just you, but just people in general.
In the industry,
yeah, just people in general. Just give people a little chance.
Yeah.
And don't just like write them off, you know, completely.
I agree. It's we're all working on ourselves. Like
everybody is a work in progress. And you made a point in a conversation that I actually put thought to in relation to. You said to me, I'm not gonna lie, Perry, there are certain things that I don't do anymore that I used to do, and I'm getting there, like I'm working on it. And I had to take a second and think and was like, she is. Because like it's been a while since I've seen like a
flare of
on TikTok, and I'm just like, she actually at work on herself, and I need to give her the opportunity to do that, because if nobody does it, it doesn't give you an opportunity to grow either. You know, like it kind of sort of, it's counterproductive to your growth. You know?
And I appreciate that you've seen that change, because it's just nice to hear that people are seeing you grow or like acknowledge your growth. And I definitely want my content to be less about me and more about my community and my followers. I want when you watch a Ton Travels video, you leave feeling like I added value to your life. Like you're happier, you're lighter, you learned something new, you know, something like that. So that's my goal in this space, just to do what I love and help people in any way that I can.
Wow! What a fabulous way to end the video! What a fabulous way! Because it's awesome to do what you do, but it has to be purposeful.
I agree.
Yeah, it has to be purposeful. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed a little chit chat, you know.
Sorry for the bussers.
with, you know, Ton Travels. Yeah, thank you for coming and
Thanks
joining.
for having me.
Right, and yeah, just leave little nuggets in the comments, little takeaways that you know got from this nice little video. And yeah, follow me on all socials at Quite Perry. Where can they find you?
Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok on the Ton Travels.
Right.
Yeah, and Ton Taste is coming out soon, guys. So just look out for that.
Right. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Check out the Social House, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.